Your Excellency, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, thank you so much for gracing us and gracing Hong Kong with your presence. Sustainability is a thing that everybody talks about, but in reality, we need two things. One is a global vision and local action. Global vision, as far as it goes, we are delighted that the Excellency, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, has come and to impress on us and that this is a problem that the whole world faces. As far as local action goes, City University of Hong Kong recently signed an agreement with United Nations Commercial Trade and Development, UNCTAD, in a very unique way, making sure that this university is well aligned with United Nations sustainability goals and so on. And to that extent, our faculty members, our students, and all our staff are all involved, hand in glove, to pursue this mission and vision of sustaining this whole world. One of the things that is necessary is to move research on sustainability into commercialization. And this is where innovation is so critical to ensure sustainability. January in this year, we started our Academy of Innovation with 4 programs that will ensure that every research we do in sustainability, and particularly the School of Energy and Environment, will bring to fruition a product, a service, a technology that can be of use to society and affordable as well. This is the goal of this university, that not only we do excellent research, but the research will bring benefit to society and to the sustainability of the earth that we live in. So with this, I want to thank all of you to come. And of course, we all want to thank Excellency Ban Ki-moon for gracing the occasion and for helping us to highlight sustainability, the world that we live in. I do apologize. I have to run off to face Hong Kong's Legislature Assembly to pass a bill. Nothing else would have stopped me to come to listen to His Excellency talk. But thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you, President Boyi. Please be seated. May I now please invite Professor Anderson Sean, Vice President of Research of CityUHK, to say a few words for us. Dr. Sean, please.
Esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to thank His Excellency Ban Ki-moon, the 8th Secretary General of the United States, President of the Assembly and Chair of the Council of Global Green Growth Institute, whose dedication to sustainable development has left a transformative impact in our world, as evident from his distinguished lecture. His distinguished 37-year career in diplomacy and global leadership has really been very inspiring. His tenure as UN Secretary General from 2007 to 2016 was marked by significant achievements in global cooperation and conflict resolution. Notably, he played a crucial role in addressing the military conflict in Sudan, working tirelessly to promote peace and stability in the region. His legacy is crowned by his spearheading of the adoption of the Paris Climate Agreement in 2016 and establishing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which encompasses 17 sustainability development goals aimed at tackling a range of global challenges, from climate action to affordable clean energy. Since 2018, Secretary General Ban has continued his work as President of the Assembly and Chair of the Council of the Global Green Growth Institute, promoting environmentally sustainable and socially inclusive development. His other leadership roles include Chair of the Boao Forum for Asia, Chairman of the International Olympic Committee Ethics Commission, and co-chair of the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens. Please join me in thanking him once again, Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, a distinguished global statesman and tireless advocate for sustainability, for a truly and inspiring distinguished lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sean. May I now please invite Mr. Ban Ki-moon to deliver a speech for us. Thank you very much.
Professor Freddie Boy, President of the City University of Hong Kong, or CityUHK, Mr. She Chin-wan, Secretary for Environment and Ecology, Mr. Dong-kan Chiu, Legislative Council Member, Ms. Grace Yu-ho-wan, dear students, faculty members of CityUHK, distinguished speakers and guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you, Professor Shum, for the very warm and kind introduction. It is an enormous pleasure and honor for me to be here with all of you on this special occasion. I have visited Hong Kong in the past many times throughout my career, and it is always a real pleasure to visit the Pearl of the Orient. The hard work of the organizers and the generosity of the sponsors is sincerely appreciated, and I'd like to express my deep appreciation for the warm hospitality of everyone here at CityUHK and the government of Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a city that stands as a beacon of modernization and progress, and it is an honor to speak to all of you here today at this esteemed university. Every time I speak at an academic institution, I feel very much at home. I think it may have to do something with the fact that I was a hard-working student when I was a student in my country in Seoul National University and Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning I'd like to speak to you about a topic that is not only close to you and to my heart, but also crucial for the future of our planet, our humanity, and our succeeding generation. Many people, after my retirement, just easily questions, what are you proud of? What did you do during your time as a Secretary General for 10 years? I normally say, first of all, I was able to bring all the leaders of the world and all the business leaders and citizens all together, working together, adopting Sustainable Development Goals of 17 goals, which is up to 2030. Then I was also able to really mobilize international political will for leaders to agree on Paris Climate Change Agreement on December 12, 2015. All this to happen in the year of 2015. Then third, even though it's not a final, I tell people that I have tried to do much more to empower women and girls, and also succeeding generation here. And these are, I can say, two and a half. I think my successor has been also doing well. I'm sure that much more will have to be done for empowering women and girls, because they need to be empowered. This is my firm commitment, again, in any way. Ladies and gentlemen, now, as you know, I grew up during the years of colonization of Korea. The devastating Korean War in 1950s and the abject poverty that followed the first two tragedies I just mentioned. My family, just like so many millions of others in Korea at the time, suffered from hunger, loss of family members, and a long, difficult journey to rebuild our communities and our country. Maybe some of you, like some of professors or presidents, might have some almost a similar experiences for which I had, but most of the young students may not understand, may not appreciate easily. But I was born before the end of the Second World War, and then I had to go through all these hardships. But I'm proud that international community, people, they work together and to rebuild their country. Particularly, I'm proud that Korea was able to rebuild, now later becoming one of the 10th largest economies in the world. Then I think I can say that I was also very fortunate compared to so many others. And I am where I am because of my good fortune. Thanks to my parents and others' hardworking and strong commitment to rebuild our country, I was free to grow in good health, focus on my studies, and take my full advantage of the opportunities that were presented to me. Some of you might have heard about my story. When I was a senior at the high school in Korea, I was lucky enough to have been chosen as one of the 4 student representatives of the Junior Red Cross. Junior Red Cross. I was in my school, head of Junior Red Cross in my high school. Then I was picked up, 2 girls and 2 boys. We gathered all at the United States. There came about 150 students from more than 40 countries, all same age. While traveling around the United States, having some host family relationship, etc. Then later, as our final programs, we were led to the White House and met President John F. Kennedy. At that time, my president of Korea, he was the only one who met President John F. Kennedy. Then I think I am one of the second in Korea when it comes to Korea. So I was very much lucky enough. It was really an inspiring experience for an 18-year-old high school boy, very poor, coming from poor country. At that time, President Kennedy told about 140 international students, look, political leaders around the world do not talk easily. They do not talk each other. Of course, Khrushchev, Kennedy were not talking each other. And there were many. Then he said, but since you are young, you can have much, much better relationship among yourselves, wherever you might have come from. Then he said, the world, there is no national boundaries. But at that time, there were strictest national boundaries. You could not move from here to another country easily. But he said, no boundaries. Even though political leaders may not talk each other, you can do it. He said, the question is whether you are ready to extend your helping hand to others. That was quite inspiring for me. Then at that time, I decided, and I was thinking, what should I do in the future? I was about to take university examination. I thought that I should be a diplomat, because being a diplomat, we can help Korea prosper and expand the scope of our activities with other countries, etc., etc. Fortunately, I was able to achieve my dreams, very humble dreams, to become a diplomat. I never expected that one day I would serve as a foreign minister of Korea, then later as a Secretary General of the United Nations. But this is what my story. So my story is based on all my personal experiences. So I'm very happy to talk particularly to young students who are here, who will soon become the leaders of our society. I'm talking to young students. I think the world is yours. The whole world is open to you. And the question is, you should work hard and harder as a global citizens. You may be proud of a citizen of a certain country. You may be coming from many different countries. You may be proud of your own country. But this world, 21st century, whole world is just one. There's no place where you cannot reach within a day by airplane. And there's no place where you cannot reach within second by 21st century communication. But at that time, it was not so for me. But now you can do it. I'm telling you, have a strong vision with the passion and compassion and be a global citizen. This is my message today, even though I'll go much further. What is global citizens? You may be proud of your nationality. Well, I'm coming from Korea, I'm United States, Hong Kong, China, etc. But that's not that important at this time. We are all citizens of the world. We have to work together to address all difficult challenges which we are now facing. This is the main message which I'm going to tell you during upcoming maybe half an hour. Ladies and gentlemen, now, by the time I started my tenure as a Secretary General of the United Nations in 2007, January 2007, I already knew that all the economic successes and would mean little if we no longer have a sustainable planet to inhabit. So I decided to put climate change, as I said, and sustainable development for all as top priorities of my tenure as a Secretary General. I was very happy and lucky to have been able to achieve these two goals agreed upon during my time, just 1 year before I finished my job as a Secretary General. But the most important thing is that not the agreement themselves, the implementation by all the people around the world. That's more important. That's what I'm going to really speak today. We have 17 goals and climate change agreement. But these 17 goals must meet the target by 2030. But as of this moment, according to United Nations, less than 20% has been achieved. More exactly, 17%. We have only 6 years to go. 6 years to go. Then whether we can do it, that's why my successor, current Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, he convened a summit of the future. All the leaders from the world came to the United Nations. And I was one of them as a former Secretary General. And they adopted Pact for the Future. Even though this is a different one, but it means it is giving strong support for full implementation of Sustainable Development Goals, 17 goals. This is what I am really asking professors and particularly students to take charge. When you are in charge, soon you will be in charge after graduation. I started to take on role now. I'm now a private citizen. I do not have any mandate from the United Nations. I'm just a simple one of the citizens, one of the global citizens. So I could continue to give back, but I'm committed to give back what I have learned and what I have in my mind to you and to young generation. One of the means which I was able to do is that I'm now working as a chairman and the president of the Global Green Growth Institute. The abbreviation is GGGI. It is a treaty-based international intergovernmental organization established in 2012 by the initiative of Korean government at the UN Conference on Sustainable Development, also known as Rio Plus 20 Conference. Now, this GGI has 49 member states. So very important institution, in a sense, a very important, effective tool for me as a former Secretary General to continue what I used to do, but in a much smaller scale. But I do not have any mandate from the United Nations. But that's what I'm doing now. At the end of 2017, the Korean government contacted me to assume this one. Now, we have 49 member states. Many times I was asked, after having led the United Nations with 193 member states, to involve myself, to exercise my leadership, to do something for humanity and our planet Earth. My answer to that was simple, because GGGI's mission and or Boao Forum for Asia. I have been working during the last 8 years as a chairman of the Boao Forum. So there are many ways for me to work. Now, these two organizations are the one which I'm really working very hard to achieve all what I had left at the United Nations when I left the United Nations. I believe and still believe. Then I decided to lend my strong support to these all important causes through GGGI. Therefore, I am immensely proud of how GGGI, working as a trusted advisor to its member states over the last decade, has, first of all, helped reduce more than 1 gigaton equivalent of CO2 emissions, assisted in the creation of more than 2 million green jobs, collaborated to implement climate adaptation measures, and mobilized more than $10 billion, and much more. In addition to this, I have established my own foundation, taking after my name, Ban Ki-moon Foundation for a Better Future, in Seoul. And I also established, most recently, about 2 months ago, the representative office of Ban Ki-moon Foundation in Beijing. So we are doing same things. And I have established one Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens in Vienna, and Ban Ki-moon Foundation in New York. Those are some institutions which I'm using in my power to do what I should do as a former Secretary General of the United Nations. All these activities, the many different hats I have been wearing, have kept me quite busy, as you may expect. And I have even joked, I'm busier now in retirement than when I was a Secretary General. So this is just a joke. But I was much more, I'm busier when I was a Secretary General. But I'm proud that I'm still working to really help global citizens and people and government to be able to realize the Sustainable Development Goals and to work to meet the target of climate change issues, just to make sure that by 2050, we have to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to zero. But I'm not quite sure whether we will really be able to achieve it. But we have to do all what we have to do. In that regard, I really hope that in addition to business leaders, political leaders, but academia, like CityUHK, to advocate for sustainable development, to champion for green growth, and to push decision makers to do more. Unfortunately, we as a global community are falling far short what is necessary. Now, I'm going to tell you, to do all this, we have to put all our hands on the deck together. That means partnership. There is not a single country in this world, a single civilian or business leaders who can do it alone. China, that's the second largest economy. You cannot do it alone. United States, number one economic power, strongest power in the world in every aspect, they cannot do alone. That's why I'm always asking that we have to work in close global partnership. Now is the time to come together and join all hands on deck. Experts have been telling us that we are passing the critical point where it will be extremely difficult to undo the damages we have done to our planet. Like a great big pot of boiling water, even we completely stop emitting greenhouse gases today, it will take decades to return to pre-industrial global temperatures. Now, it is absolutely necessary that we hit the target of green emission zero by 2050. China has declared that they cannot do it physically, so they will do it by 2060. It was accepted and understood by international community because President Xi Jinping announced that to realize carbon-free net to zero by 2060, China will build 150 nuclear power stations. In fact, nuclear power is the cleanest energy. In that regard, I sincerely hope that China will be able to meet the target. As you know, China is the largest greenhouse gas emitting countries, minimum 18% or maximum 22% of the whole world. Then comes United States. United States, China combined together, minimum, these two countries emit 42% of greenhouse gas emissions, while all other 191 member states of the United Nations, they emit altogether 58%. Korea is one of the 10th largest emitting countries. We are also doing very much on that. In that regard, there is no you and me. There is no government and universities. Everybody should work together at their own home, at their own factories, or educational institutions and government buildings. They have to do what? The Secretary General of the United Nations has famously said this way. Earlier, we used to say we are living in a global warming era. Then this has changed global heating. Now, Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General, said we are living in global boiling. Boiling means 100 degrees. You cannot live, in fact, with all boiling water. That may be a little bit exaggeration, but I think it's not exaggeration. We have to do all what we can, individually, publicly, and at the government level. The most important will be government and business communities work in partnership. After all, these are business operations, business administrations. They emit all this. Then government should have a strong political will to guide to have net to zero world by 2015. This is a must. I hope that your university will also take active measures to make sure that from your university, from the students and professors, you would not emit unnecessary produce gas emissions. We are on track to leave a planet that will be much worse than the one we inherited. We have not yet been able to find any other planet where human beings can live sustainably. This is the only one. This is the only one. Therefore, you have to mention this one. Now, let me talk about a little bit, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about what you can do as China. China's recent rise in world politics, technological innovation, global trade, and cultural influence is indisputable. For any global initiative to succeed, China's sincere buy-in and proactive participation will be essential. And China's progress in renewable technologies and environmental policies should be commended. And I do hope that global leaders all over the world will have the courage and wisdom to do the right things. Friendly competition is good, often necessary to bring out the best of ourselves, but we should not let competition turn into conflict. In that regard, I'm concerned how United States and China relationship will be when President-elect assumes his presidency January next year. I have been really repeating and emphasizing that United States and China should lead this campaign together in harmony. If we are not able to live in this planet Earth, then there will be no China, no United States. In that regard, I am still grateful when President Xi Jinping took his personal, very decisive initiative in 2016, September 2016, when there was G20 summit in Hangzhou in 2016, September. It was a critical, I was really working very hard to make sure that before I leave the United Nations, I really wanted to make sure that this Paris climate change agreement will come into effect before December 31st. That was, as far as my memory serves me correct, that was a September 4, 2016. Then President Xi Jinping invited me and President Obama in a separate meetings while other leaders, G20 leaders, were coming just one day before. Then he himself presented the certificate of ratification of the Paris Climate Change Agreement. That took 18% of 24%, I'm sorry, 24% of greenhouse gas emissions globally. So China was taking 24% of global emission. Then Obama presented me it was all coordinated by President Xi Jinping. I was just I was acting and receiving this document. So when two countries submitted these two documents, that has come together 42%, 18 plus 24. I was very happy because I needed 55% of the global emission guaranteed by the member states. It was easier to have 13% get together. I went to European Union Parliament and I addressed the members of the European Union. You must ratify it. When they joined it, I think the Paris Climate Change Agreement came into power, came into effect before I left. That came into effect. There was a moment of just very delicate moment. I left the United Nations December 31st, 2016. The President Trump came into power, inaugurated January 20th, 2017. After that, he withdrew from the United Nations agreement on climate change. Of course, President Biden later came back. I'm very much concerned that according to news report, he said that President Trump may withdraw from the Paris Climate Change Agreement. I hope President Xi Jinping and President Trump will have to sit down together, not only promoting some better relationship between the two, but advise him not to withdraw from the Paris Climate Change Agreement. This is my really personal hope. I hope it will happen. In that regard, I hope that China will take some important mediation role on this matter. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been speaking too long, but at a time when the global community should be working together to fight the climate crisis and its impact on livelihoods, we are instead waging violent wars here and there. The illegal Russian aggression against Ukraine and the war between and among Israel and Hezbollah and all this, Iran, this is really worrisome. They have to stop this one. In any way, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to wrap up by stating that I think we have to have a strong hope and strong commitment. In that regard, as a former Secretary General, I refuse to give up hope, and I'm still hopeful that we can realize a sustainable world for all our succeeding generations. We have witnessed again and again throughout history how we, the global community, can come together to turn common challenges into opportunities. And we must do now, work to fight the climate crisis with sustainable development and adaptation. I'm a true believer that when people work together, there is no stopping what we can accomplish together. There is no denying the urgency and enormity of the challenges we are facing. But I can promise you that I will continue to do what I can. And I hope you will join me and encourage everyone around you to join us. And as we strive to build a low-carbon, resilient world, it's very important that we must make sure that this world should be sustainable, not only for you, us, but for our coming succeeding generation. I think that is our moral responsibility. Let us ask political leaders to do their political responsibility. When political and moral responsibility got together, then there is nothing which we cannot do. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us work together to realize a better and sustainable world for our succeeding generation. That's your and my moral responsibility at this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ban, for your insightful talk. Please remain on stage. May I now please invite Dr. Sui-Ming Chong, Pro-Chancellor of CityUHK, to present the souvenir to Mr. Ban to thank for his talk. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ban and Dr. Chong. Please be seated. Now, our photographer will take a good photo of all the participants today. Please be seated.